Welcome to the Evingson Wellness Blueprint, the podcast that takes you on a transformative journey to holistic health and well-being. Join hosts Matthew and Rebecca as they deep dive into the world of wellness, exploring a wide range of holistic modalities, alternative healing practices, and evidence-based approaches to living a vibrant and balanced life. Paget Kagy is a quantum coach, creator of viral content and wildly popular programs on abundance, love, and confidence. Her flagship coaching program, called Quantum Shift Accelerator, is also known as QSA. Through her blueprint, she has helped thousands of people eliminate blocks in their lives, allowing them to create the life of their dreams. She's been my coach and mentor and my personal superhero, and it is an absolute honor and pleasure to have her on the podcast today. Welcome, Paget.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk to you.
Through Quantum Shift Accelerator, you give your students the ability to recognize unhelpful patterns and provide the most comprehensive tool to releasing them. Can you give us an overview of your story and how your blueprint was created?
Yeah, a lot of us go through the spiritual journey because we hit a point in our lives where we just don't have the answers anymore. And where some of the other things that we've been trying, whether through our mind or through just extra hard work or whatever, it's not getting us to where we want to go. But we feel deep down, there's this potential in me that I know is there. Where is it? Why can't I access it? Is that just my imagination? Am I being delusional? Or does that truly exist? And that was what I was going through for many years of healing, motivational stuff, visualization, all of that stuff. I still felt I was trapped in my own skin, or I couldn't really step into the kind of version of me that I always dreamed of when I was little. Because when I was little, I was freaking crazy. I was out there. I was maybe a little too confident. And then I just totally lost that somewhere along the way. And I became very fearful, insecure, anxiety ridden. I couldn't put myself out there. I didn't know how to show up in my confidence or power. I felt lost and not confident in my skin. I was relying on a lot of healers. It was great and it was making me feel better, but I still felt like I wasn't getting to that point that I wanted to get to within myself. And so actually it started with me asking the question, what is fundamentally different between me and someone else who looks like me, is in the same age bracket, right? Has similar kind of qualifications and them, but they're able to shine. They're able to show up in their confidence. They're able to go after the things they want. What is fundamentally the difference between me and that person? Because just by the physical traits, like we should have the same confidence. We should be able to do the same things. But that person was seemingly miles ahead of me. And I'm like, what is that? What is that difference? It wasn't just the personality, it was something deeper. And I kept asking myself that question. The more I asked that question, the more I got the answers from my higher self of, okay, it's actually just energy. It's not your mind. It's not anything that you need to fix on the outside, lose a little bit of weight or look a little pretty or whatever. It's not about any of those things. It's actually just energy. And so as I was taking knowledge I had learned over the years from other modalities and getting my own downloads for why is this effective? What's the root cause of why this modality even works in the first place? Because I feel like people practice stuff, but they don't really understand the mechanics behind it. They don't really see any real fundamental change from it. And so I've infused my own knowledge, my own downloads that I was getting from my higher self, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And I was applying it to my own life to be able to transition into more of the version of me that felt more like me. It just felt more aligned. It felt more confident. I felt more comfortable in my skin. And my whole perception of self and reality just started to change. And I started teaching other people this, and it started work for them too. And I'm like, okay, there's something that I can give to someone, a blueprint. And that's how I created QSA.
Yeah, this has been an incredible journey for me. Absolutely phenomenal. And I am so grateful that you did all of your own inner work so that you could help each of us. Yeah.
It was hard, but yes, I am too.
One of the things that I noticed was that when I was coming up to a challenge or experiencing something that felt incredibly destabilizing, I had this framework to be able to recognize and identify and see things exactly the way they were. It literally felt like you were this guardian angel right next to me in these situations saying, Rebecca, this is all just energy. And your greatest gains are on the other side of doing these things that you are wildly excited about, yet terrified about. QSA teaches you to actually welcome some of the most difficult times of your life because you know it's a potential to learn and to up level and to upgrade. Yes.
Absolutely. If you sum up the process from a really high level perspective, there's a couple things. You do need to release the energetic garbage in you, which is hard to identify at first. But then once you release the energetic garbage, you get this momentum in you of like, oh my gosh, that's not me. And that's not how I'm supposed to operate. Oh my goodness. The whole process is summed up by seeing through the illusion of so many things that we think are so concrete, that we think are so real and so limiting and permanent, and
Mhm.
actually seeing through the illusion of all of those things. Because when you see through the illusion of the fear, the anxiety, or the things that challenge us in our everyday lives and box us in, when you can actually energetically pierce the illusion of it, it's amazing how you turn back and you're like, I can't believe I let that have power over my life, my entire life, and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even see it. That whole time, that was just an illusion.
Yeah, absolutely. You've taught me to see things exactly as they are, nothing more, nothing less. Because we tend to attach to this story and then we tend to ruminate on the story. And then we get dragged through this very unpleasant experience and it can keep impacting our lives in such a negative way. The other thing that I want to highlight that was so profound for me that has absolutely changed my life is you've given me this ability to look forward at what is it that I really want in life. It's like imagining you're driving a vehicle and you have 10 little lights. Like the vehicle doesn't have normal headlights. You're driving in the dark across the country and you can choose where on your vehicle you want to put those lights. You could put 5 of them in the back, you could put a couple of them on the side, but you've helped me learn to put all 10 of those lights, focus going forward, and that is going to be the most successful way. So if I want to ruminate about something that's come up in the past, that's up to me, but I'm going to be putting that energy behind
Totally.
me, which
Yeah.
means it's going to take me so much longer to get to where I want to go. I hear you in my own head asking the question fundamentally like, where are you putting your energy? Are you putting it going forward or are you looking behind you?
Yeah, if you have a lot of patterns, let's say, or I say energetic garbage in your field that like hooks on to all these negative things and negative stories and negative situations and everything, like really hard to put your headlights. And I love the way you said that. All of your 10 headlights forward. Really hard because there are so many things that are pulling at you, pulling you off your center, pulling you backward, right? Thrashing you around, and those are what I would call energetic patterns, right? Energetic garbage. But as you release more of that energetic garbage, which is why I always say it's about actually really releasing who you are not, as opposed to trying to be someone else. It's about releasing who you are not, and then you will come into the very best version of yourself, who is all of the things that you've ever wanted to be. But as you release more of that garbage, it really is just about efficiency, right? I'm not saying you're not going to have challenges and you're not going to have those moments where, like, oh my gosh, right? But as you process more of that self doubt, all that stuff, you just become more efficient. You just become more efficient of, okay, I can put all 10 headlights forward. Most people, like you said, are just going through life with their headlights. I love that analogy, by the way. The headlights like all over the place. And then, yeah, no wonder they're only going 2 miles an hour,
Yeah,
right? They don't even know
absolutely.
like where they're going. But as you just release more of your garbage, you come more into that, what I call singularity within yourself. And that unity really within yourself and your essence, then it's just easier for you to simplify and just be more efficient to go forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. Paget, when you first started working with me, I was very resistant to feeling any degree of anger. Can you speak about how anger can be one of the most powerful motivators for changes in our lives?
Absolutely. And I want to deconstruct something quickly. So many people, they say, oh, avoid the negative emotions. They try to intellectualize emotion, try to intellectualize, which isn't really that helpful in the end. Yes, if you're just working on the mindset level, maybe it'll help you feel a little better about your situation. But if you actually want to change, you can't intellectualize emotion. You can't intellectualize energy. It's just energy. You have to allow it integrate, process through you. And so I hear so many people go, oh, it doesn't help you to be angry. It's not good for you. Then live their lives trying to avoid an entire aspect of their humanity. It's not here for us to just avoid completely. It's here because it plays an important role in our whole entire humanity, whether it's a feeling or a fear. Whenever you try to deny that, you're actually giving it more power and you're denying an aspect of yourself as well. So, didn't like going into the angry spaces because I felt like it was wrong. I felt like I was bad. I felt like I was mean. I felt like I was scary. I was scared of my own power.
Mhm.
But when you can actually really just own that aspect, every single quote, ugly shadow, whatever aspect of yourself, guess what you're doing? First of all, you're dissolving the power that it now has over you, the fear or whatever it is that it now has over you. And secondly, you allow it to integrate into you so it can actually be balanced within you. We want it to integrate into us because there is a power in anger, especially for those of you who have been scared of anger. A lot of the times it's the people who have been scared of their own anger or who are scared of anger generally who actually can use anger to propel themselves out of disempowerment, right? And it's not to say you're going to use it for the rest of your life. It's not to say like you're going to hang on to it and be angry all the time. No. But for me, especially because I was one of those people, it was the most important tool I had in my toolbox to go, I don't want to be subscribed to the old version of me, right? I got angry and it allowed me to push away all of the things that I no longer wanted to tolerate and the aspects of even my old identity that were not me anymore so that I can actually propel myself and step into something new. The anger gave me a turbo boost to go anything but this, anything but staying disempowered, anything but staying fearful, anything but playing small, right? I'm willing to burn it all down because I am not willing to play the small version of me anymore. So it's incredibly important. And a lot of times when people talk about don't be angry, because they're talking about it from, let's say, the highest levels. So let's say you are Jesus, okay, or Buddha, whatever. Let's say you are really incredibly at the very highest levels. Yeah, maybe anger doesn't need to play a role anymore. But guess what? Most of us aren't there. So let's not try to pretend like we're there when we haven't actually done the work to get there, right? Isn't actually helping you. And it's also not helping other people.
Yeah. So, Paget, giving you full permission to disclose how you've seen me grow through this process of being in QSA and knowing this work is a lifestyle, it's not just a one and done. What are some of the changes that come to mind that you've seen in me?
Rebecca, I would actually love to ask you that question. You've made such a huge shift. You took so much accountability, right, for everything. And that's why you've really propelled. So when I see you now, you're stepping into the fire regularly and you're such an empowered version of you. That is a huge shift. Whereas before you were like, I'll just go along with what's given to me. You're like, no, the way you're just going for it is phenomenal. Like, that's scary.
It is scary. And then your voice is in my head as much as my own. You've given me a library of Paget-isms that I just go to. So anytime that voice comes up, that is what you would call an edge of what I'm capable of. My inner Paget comes out, my inner Paget voice, and it is so empowering.
Most people, even when they learn all of this stuff, they're not willing to really apply the last parts, which is You have to see through the illusion. In order to see through the illusion, you have to step through it. You can't just be like, okay, I see through the illusion, and then not actually take the steps through it to actually go through the illusion, right? And
Yeah.
get on the other side. They just stare at it and they don't actually pierce through that veil, but you're piercing through the veil. And I know how difficult it is because I had to do the same exact thing before I was ready, like on hyper speed. And it was scary and I had to process through a lot, but obviously worth it.
Yes, absolutely. One of my favorite quotes is life begins on the edge of your comfort zone. And I loved it, but I didn't know how to really embody that. You've really taught me how to embody self love, self care, and understanding that doing the things that excite me at the same time terrify me are really where this joy in life is at. And
And having the self forgiveness
yes,
through all of it, because I think that's really what holds people back, and that's really what destroys a lot of people in a sense, and I can even speak for myself where you try something and it's not happening in the way that you want, and you beat yourself up for it
yes,
instead of, "Oh, no, this is actually an opportunity for
yes,
me to click into more of the unconditional self-love, acceptance, worthiness within me, and
yeah.
identify that power and that strength and that love within me." Use it as leverage to actually strengthen that within yourself even further, which is counterintuitive.
And the most valuable thing that I've learned is that when your life feels like it's completely falling apart, it can absolutely be falling together. One of the most fundamental things that you teach is if you want big changes in your life, like your life is going to have big changes to get there.
Yes. Yes. Sorry, guys, but it's gonna feel like it's blowing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is one of my favorite reels that you created. There's a skit where you're a human having the whole human experience. And the human is essentially arguing with the universe, saying, I wanted all of these changes, but now my life is torn apart. And the universe is like, well, this is what you asked for. And in order to get to there, you have to go through it. You have to see the patterns in you that are unhelpful and reconstruct your life essentially from the core. Yeah.
Exactly. This work does not feel easy. It is so simple on one hand, but
Yeah.
it is not easy, but it is so worth it.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Paja, I want to thank you so much for spending time with me today. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, you were my absolute superhero. I have had so much fun learning and growing from you. And I know it's a lifelong journey, but it's a journey that even though it can feel like torturous, it can feel like your life is a dumpster fire sometimes as you're
Oh,
going through
yeah.
growth and changes.
Oh, yeah.
I would pick it over and over again, 1,000,000,000,000,000,000 times. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for creating QSA. And thank you so much for spending time with me today.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. It's so good to see you.
Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope today's episode inspired you on your journey of wellness. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review, subscribing, and sharing it with a friend. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Drop me a message at www.hevingstonwellness.com.